Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to make this heart-shaped stone just in time for Valentine's Day. So this stone is made with rapid set cementol. I have a video down below on how I make my stones. You can take a look at that. And the mold is from the Happy Dotting Company. The stone measures 4 inches long and 4 inches wide at its widest and longest points, and it's about 1 inch high. So I'm giving it a base coat. I'm using a very shiny metallic paint. It's called Rose Shimmer. And because it's so shiny, I have a hard time seeing the outline of the face of the stone. So I'm using a white charcoal pencil, and I'm just going around the outside, giving myself a guideline. If you don't need the guideline, feel free to just omit that. That guideline will also wash off very easily with a little Q-tip and a little bit of water. You can use a watercolor pencil too. So now that I have my guideline, I'm going around, and with the white pearl, I'm just giving myself a nice little border. I'm going to give several rows of this border, and the first one is going to be the largest dots that I put there, and then each subsequent row is going to get a little bit smaller. So as you see, I just put a second row in between each of the first, and they are a lot smaller. Now I'm putting on this top coat. It's Enchanted Shimmer. It's in a magenta shade. It's really clear, but it has like a magenta highlight, which you're not going to really see on the stone because the stone is pink, and it's not something that's absolutely necessary. So if you don't have it, don't worry about it. And now we're going to add in one more row of smaller dots on the inside. So if you haven't done it already, I would appreciate it if you'd reach down, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you will know when I upload more videos. So now I'm measuring down 1 inch from the top peak and 1.5 inches in from the 2 points. You can see where I'm pointing on the ruler. That's going to be the starting point for my main element. I'm using about a 6mm flat tool. I think I could have gone a little bit bigger. I would not go smaller. I would go a little bit bigger, maybe an 8 or 10mm, but place that large dot in the center. And then for the first row going around, I am using a smaller tool, and I'm putting 8 dots. So we'll do that by starting at the 12 o'clock position. Put your first dot up at 12 o'clock, one at 6, one at 3, and one at 9 o'clock, and then put one in between each of those. And that'll give you 8, and then put your smaller dot, your next row of the smallest dots, directly in between those. And then finally, the last 8 larger dots will be directly above each of the smaller dots. Now I'm creating this element with a series of swooshes. You can see that I'm just putting a swoosh coming in from the right, swoosh coming in from the left, doing that twice, and then one straight down the center. And that's probably going to be the hardest part of this whole design, and we're just going to do 4 of those around. So now I'm adding 3 dots along the right hand side. I'm just walking 3 little dots down on all 4 of those elements. And then I'm pulling it in together with 4 little swooshes. Now those little swooshes, it gives it a little movement. It kind of ties everything together quite nice. You don't need too much. This is a very, very simple stone to do. You notice on that first element that I didn't like the top. It was a little bit too short, so I went back. I lengthened it. It needed to be a little fuller. If you're watching this before you do it, I would suggest you just go ahead and make it longer right at the beginning. All right, so now I'm decorating the top a little bit. I'm just adding a few little elements. I'm putting a couple of hearts. And hearts, you can see, is simply 2 swooshes, one coming in from one way, one coming in from the other way, and they're meeting at the bottom. And you have a simple little heart. Now the other thing I'm putting on here are 2 swooshes, only they're going in the opposite direction and they're facing upwards. And I'm putting 2 little dots below. And those I'm calling butterflies. I don't know if you can see butterflies in them, but I do. So I'm putting my little butterflies. If you don't want to put butterflies or you don't want to put hearts, you don't have to. You can leave it plain. You can put some crystals on if you'd like. You could add just hearts. I'm going to put hologram in a minute. You can do whatever you'd like. Actually, I think the stone's quite pretty with nothing at all. Totally up to you. Now I'm doing the top dots on the center. I'm using a smaller tool, obviously, and with the same rose shimmer, I'm placing a center dot right at the very center of that main dot. Now for all of my other top dots, I'm going around with a smaller tool, obviously, in the same magenta, rose shimmer, and I'm putting off-center top dots facing in towards the middle. I do all of those dots except for the very tiniest of ones, and I just love that look. It just brings everything, brings the eye right into the center. It's so pretty. Now I'm just adding a couple of little dots on the side of each of the top of those 4 elements. Now for the final little top dot, as far as color goes, I'm putting one little off-center top dot on just those pink ones. And when I hold it up in a second, you'll see how pretty that looks. It really does bring the eye right in to the center of the design. Now to pull all my big swooshes together, I had put a little dot of white there, and it was kind of swallowed up with everything else, so I'm just coming over and completely covering it with a top dot of the rose shimmer. Now I'm using hologram. Time for hologram. Hologram is a clear medium. It goes on kind of milky. It'll dry clear with a lot of shimmer to it, like glitter. It's not like powdered glitter, but it'll have a glittery effect. And I'm a fan of holograms, so I put it on a lot of things. I think I put it on pretty much all of my stone here. I'm using a skewer, one of those long wooden skewers. You can get a big pack of them from the $1 and a quarter tree now. And they're a really great tool. You have a lot of control. You saw that I was using it to paint in the hologram on a lot of my elements, and it just makes it a lot easier than trying to use anything else. I also went around and dropped just some plain hologram little dots here and there. You can see those on the face of the stone. So I've used that skewer again and gone around and you can see how tiny the dot is in between that last row on the outside, and just go around and put that little tiny dot right there in between. And finally, I'm putting one more dot underneath each of the second row of dots we had done. So I'm going around with some more hologram, and I had not anything down the front of the stone there, so I just threw a couple of dots down the front. There she is, all dry. What do you think? If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and happy painting.